PhD researchers don't become experts because they've read the most papers. They become experts because they've made the clearest connections between them. Many PhD researchers end up rewriting their literature review several times. At first, that feels incredibly frustrating because you're like, I've already written this chapter. I thought I'd put it to bed. I thought it was done. But if your understanding changes, then your literature review probably needs to change as well. Every PhD researcher has got that folder on their computer called To Read. You know the one. It sits there, making you feel guilty every time you see it, and somehow it keeps getting bigger because you just keep putting more PDFs in there. I can see how this happens, okay? You don't understand something, so your first instinct is to go and find some information about it, go and download another paper. That might not be the smartest thing to do. There is a tendency among PhD researchers to become hoarders of PDFs. You download another paper because it seems like a sensible thing to do. You read it. That feels productive. But reading can be a little bit of a safe activity. You don't have to commit to an opinion. You don't have to make a judgment. You don't have to decide what something means. And if you keep reading, you just keep absorbing other people's thinking. Reading more often increases your uncertainty before it creates understanding. The more perspectives you encounter, the more disagreements you notice. The more theories you read about, the more complicated your topic feels. The more you understand, the less straightforward everything seems to feel. That's one of the reasons why qualitative PhD research can feel more confusing the more time goes on. Because you're starting to see the complexity that was always there. It might not have been that obvious earlier, but the more you've read, the more you've zoomed in, the more of it you can see. So, if reading doesn't create understanding, what does? PhD researchers don't become experts because they've read the most papers. They become experts because they've made the clearest connections between them. That is synthesis. It's one thing to know what 20 different authors have said. It's another to explain how those things all relate to each other, where they agree, where they disagree, what that means for your research. That's where understanding starts to develop. And that's why many PhD researchers end up rewriting their literature review several times. At first, that feels incredibly frustrating because you're like, I've already written this chapter. I thought I'd put it to bed. I thought it was done. But if your understanding changes, then your literature review probably needs to change as well. Because the literature review isn't just about showing what you've read, it's about recording how you understand the conversation that is going on in the literature, the conversation that your research is eventually going to become part of. Before you go and download another 10 papers and put them in that to read folder, I'd encourage you to ask yourself these questions. What am I noticing across these papers? Where do these authors agree? Where do they disagree? What's the bigger conversation they're having? What does all of this help me understand about my own research? Those questions will usually move your thinking much further forward than an afternoon spent downloading more PDFs. I often think this is a bit like saying you're going to build a house, then spending the next 6 months just collecting bricks. At some point, you've got to stop collecting the bricks, the building materials, and you've got to start putting them together. Reading gives you the bricks. Synthesis is what turns that into a house. In the next video, I want to take this one step further. Because once you've started connecting ideas, the next question becomes, what do they actually mean? That is where your interpretation comes in. I'll see you in there.